Hey everybody, thanks for stopping by. Today I'm bringing a review and unboxing of the Nyxi Wizard Wireless Joypad. This is it right here, and let's go. This is the Nyxi Wizard Wireless Joypad. Has Hall effect joysticks, turbo function, adjustable vibration, mapping functionality, and a 6-axis gyro with interchangeable joystick rings, a mecha tactile buttons, and triggers. It retails for $69.99 and it is available right now. Now, the controller is really sleek, really good looking. This is definitely a controller that's going to speak to all the GameCube fans, and I'm definitely one of them. But we're going to get into it, we're going to talk about it, and see exactly what I feel about this. Is it perfect? Is it fantastic? Let's find out. Let's get into it. As for what else is in the box, we do have a couple of the rings I'll show here. Those are interchangeable. Talk about those here in a bit. And then you have the charging cable. Would have liked to have seen two of these with two Joy-Cons. And then we have a product manual. Now, the first thing that people are going to think of when they see this controller is the Wavebird. So the Wavebird did release back in 2002, ran until 2007, and it solved the wireless problem back in the day by using an RF signal frequency, and it really made a big difference over the infrared. And as you can see, this controller is a direct inspiration of the Wavebird. There are some slight variants, so I did want to show you all a comparison. So you can take a look here. My old Wavebird is a little beat up, but you can tell this Nyxi Wizard is a little wider, so it has a wider stance to it. Still feels great in the hand, didn't really have any issues with that. Obviously, we do have some additional buttons on there as well, a couple turbo buttons at the bottom, and this does have dual upper buttons as well on either side for all of our current gaming, which we did not need back when we had GameCube. But you can see there is a difference the way it lays there, but overall, it's almost a one-to-one. It feels great, and it works really well. I have to admit, I am a huge fan of the light-up buttons. They look fantastic. They drew my attention right away when this was first advertised, so that was a big deal for me to be able to jump in and get it just because of that. But obviously it's a GameCube controller, and which is one of the best controllers ever made. I feel like it is the best Nintendo controller ever made, so to be able to use this alongside of my Switch, couldn't be happier. I am absolutely ecstatic that this actually exists now. And as you can tell on the back there, there are a couple of mappable buttons too that we're seeing. So this does have additional triggers that you can use down toward the bottom there in the middle, which makes a big difference for a lot of people who really game more often on more competitive games. All the buttons do have a slight little click to them. They're not like completely silent. I would have liked to have seen a little bit of difference there on that on my side of things, but other way they're great. USB-C charging as well, so that's pretty universal nowadays, so that's really great. And as you can see, it's just a nice controller. A few little caveats here and there, but we're going to get on to the biggest reason why this controller should be a purchase for everyone out there with a Switch. I'm sure all of you are familiar with Joy-Con drift. This controller, the biggest reason to purchase, will not get drift. This is using the Hall effect joysticks. It's actually using electromagnets to alleviate all the drifting that has been happening. Nothing can wear out because nothing is making contact. So I will do my best here real quick to try to sum that up, and I will put an image up on screen so we can kind of go over it super quick. But there are no physically touching pieces with this controller and with the Hall effect joysticks. They use electromagnets to send the signal to let you know let the controller know, should say, where it is in position to the opposite magnet. So this will alleviate all of that from happening. And even if it did, which is not impossible, It does have some switchable joysticks, so I'm going to show those for you guys. You can actually pull these apart just with a small quarter turn, and a pop of the joystick will come right out, and it just lets you right in there to be able to just remove and replace. So if for some reason you were to run into any sort of Joy-Con drift or controller drift at all, this is a great way to be able to fix it on the fly and not have to pay those absurd fees that Nintendo is asking for replacing or repairing your Joy-Cons. And as you can tell here, those rings I mentioned, you do have the old school GameCube one and then a fully rounded one now for what we feel on all of our controllers nowadays. I'm a little partial to the original. I really like the kind of the stop sign. Really lets you feel where you are with the controls. But as you can see, everything kind of comes in the box and together, so you could pull it all apart and swap things out as you would like. And it's just as simple to go back together. Pop your joystick back on, put your ring back on over around it. It's a quick snap down and just a turn, and you're back together. So swapping things out, after the first time or two, you've kind of learned what you need to do. Super easy after that. As you can see, this is me, live doing this, and it is simple. I was able to put them back together in just a few seconds. This is an enormous positive for this controller. The fact that you cannot get Joy-Con drift, or it is very, very slim chance, makes it worth a purchase. Alright, so I want to talk a little bit about what these feel like to remove and put back on when it comes to docking, undocking, and using them as an actual pro controller as well. And they do take a little bit more on that button to release than what we're used to. Not a completely terrible thing, but something I would have liked to see, maybe that button be able to have a little bit more press in it. They just tried to keep the form factor, I think, a certain way, and that just causes it a little bit rough to release that control from the Switch. Going back together, though, as simple as ever. Just what you would expect. Just a couple clicks and you're done. It is a very nice design. As you can see, very clean, and I'm very pleased with it. It just looks and feels great, and I'm really enjoying it. Here's what it looks like docked. I think it looks great. I really like how it looks like the GameCube controller is just kind of hovering out there. I love it. I think it looks really cool, and I'm just always a huge fan of that purple-blue color that we see. Just going to show off a little bit of gameplay as well here. Had to take a little bit of time to jump back 20 years, right, and play some Mario Sunshine. Plays great. As you can see, all the controls are responsive. All the calibrations are great. It just works. It feels really great. I keep saying great, but it's a great controller. There are some things that could have been a little bit better, and I'll bring myself back on screen toward the end of this video to go over those. They were just a little too hard to get some footage of, but I love it. I think it's really well done. I would like to see the clicking of the upper buttons, the left and the right triggers, just be a little bit lessened somehow. If they could be dampened. They are kind of loud and can kind of get annoying, but the button layout, the light up buttons, the functionality, being able to play with them in handheld mode, all the Hall effect, all of the positives outweigh every negative I have, and I really don't think I could be too much happier with this controller, with just a few little caveats I have there to discuss. So that is some of my thoughts, my overall feelings of the controller. Really enjoy it. I think it's great. Once again, like I did keep saying there, yeah, it's great. I think that's the best word for this controller. It can use some improving. It could use a little quality control, but it is not bad at all. I'm really enjoying it. A couple quality control things, at least one major quality control is the paint on mine is not completely done. I can actually see the primer beneath the paint job, and that was a little disappointing. I can be a little picky sometimes. I can admit that. But when you're paying $70 for a controller, you should see a pristine controller. The other part of it is the paint, obviously, but then there's a gloss over top of it, and you can tell the gloss was on some of it, not on other parts of it. It doesn't affect the controller or how it feels, but it's still something I think should be looked into for some quality control in the future, because I'd really like to see some more products from this company, because I think they did a great job out of the gate on this one, and I'm sure they could do a better job again. So that's it for my review, unboxing, overall discussions, and thoughts for the Nyxi Wizard wireless joypad. Let me know what you guys think. Have you picked this up? Are you going to be picking it up? Is this something that's on your wish list? Because I recommend it, and I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. And be sure, subscribe, follow, hit that bell, and I'll be back with plenty more of these as they come. Until next time, grab a game and dig in.